Hello, everyone. Welcome to Living Kabbalah. We're in a week of portion Vayeshev, and also this week we are starting a very special cosmic event, as our teacher Rav Berg would call it, the event of Chanukah, starting this Thursday. So we have so much opportunity, so much potential this week, and this month also, of course. And before we begin, we want to start with a meditation. We want to close our eyes. We want to be present, want to be using this time to open ourselves up to the light, to open our hearts, to have more love within us, more compassion, more courage, more kindness, more wisdom. We want to ask the Creator to guide us, to help us change, continuously transform, go to our next level, become the person we are meant to be, the person we want to be. And also send this light to the entire world, to broadcast this energy to the entire universe. And while we're meditating, I'm going to read a paragraph of a Zohar to bring the energy of Rabbi Shimon. Amar lo, Ya'ud shelta tachaze chai ruach kadmeru deichu ruach denevot chaka it leishtak takela v'kirucha denavot יקל לסלקה ולקיימה, קמי קדוש ברוך הוא למטבע, שקירה דיקתי ועצך הרוח ואי צדיקה הוא. איך היא בשקרה, וכחו עלמה דייכו עלמה דיקשות, ומה דחי עלמה לא באה זכה, שקרה בהכו עלמה לא כבשים ואי לאו, זכה היכו חטא יקל לקיימה, Kami Kadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, so we are starting a new journey. We're continuing the journey of Jacob, right? We've been on learning and reading about the stories, the travels of Jacob, the patriarch. We started with Abraham, who is the starter of the tikkun process in our world. We continued with Isaac, his son. And then we have Jacob. And this is the portion where we are still in the story of Jacob and also introducing Joseph. Joseph the righteous, his story starts. And for the next three portions, we're going to learn a lot about Yosef. Yosef or Joseph, as it says in English. And we know Abraham helped us build the right column. Isaac helps us establish the left column, and Jacob is establishing within us the central column, the middle point. And so is Joseph. Both of them are connected very much to the central column in our universe. The concept of restriction, the concept of being able to be in a space of pausing and not being in a place of reacting right away, where we are able to take a step back, pause from whatever is happening, and then go from there. So this idea of pause, of restriction, is most fundamental in the wisdom of Kabbalah, where you are able to take yourself out of the experience and not be connected to the perspective that you're having at that moment. So just taking that pause, just taking that moment of, let me look at it from a different perspective. Just having that question is probably the most fundamental idea that you have in the wisdom of Kabbalah. It's something that was established. Rav Berg revealed it to us. He revealed the secret to us, this amazing tool. And it originates with Jacob, the patriarch. He is the embodiment of a central column, and his son Joseph. And the story is very interesting. So last week was all about revealing your negative side, right? Your opponent. You really want to know him. You really want to identify him. And last week, Jacob went hand to head with his opponent. That was the highlight of the story of the week. This week is so deep. There's so many secrets. As if you read the 1% story, it's almost like a telenovela where there's so many twists and turns, and there's just so much drama happening in the Torah. It's unbelievable. Always recommend and highly recommend and encourage everyone to read the portion in our Kabbalistic Chumash. And the portion starts on page, the actual reading starts on 355, but before, there's a story before it. So what kind of energies do we have this week? First of all, if anyone has a question, if anyone has something that they want to address, they're not sure about, please feel free to ask a question. Would love to hear from you and to have your input. So the story starts with Jacob finally leaving his father-in-law's house, Lavan, and living in the land of Israel. And he's living with his sons, and he's having a very, you can say, a good time. After almost 20 years being away from his parents, working for his father-in-law, who it says was trying to actually kill him every single day, was trying to somehow annihilate him and destroy him every single day that Jacob was there. Jacob survives, leaves, he's prosperous, he's very successful, he's very wealthy. He has his 12 sons, a daughter. He's basically, the name of the portion means to sit. And it means that he kind of was satiated. He was kind of happy. He was kind of, wow, this is good. This is good. I've accomplished, I've achieved. And now we can kind of rest. And it says that Jacob sat. Now there's a very big secret. We know that even the name of a portion gives us a secret about what the energy of the week and the energy of a portion is. So we know immediately from the name what is the energy. And the energy, and it's from the Zohar, obviously we learned this from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, that says that whenever you achieve something, the moment you are starting to dwell in it, enjoy in it, and be way too present in whatever it is that you've achieved, you're actually in a state of losing it. Because the moment it says that Jacob rested, Jacob sat down, that's the moment he started to have this whole story of this week's portion, this whole telenovela of, we're going to get into it and you see what happens. But the seed of it was the fact that he was satiated, that he was, this is good. I can enjoy this now. I can enjoy life now. I don't have to worry. I can just sit and enjoy my good life. And from that moment, the whole story begins. And the story is pretty intense. There's so much going on. It starts with dreams. So we're continuing the theme of dreams this week. Pay attention to your dreams. Use your dreams this week if you want to ask questions, if you want to meditate, if you want to get clarity or something, or even do your spiritual work while you're sleeping, you can do that before going to sleep. So really a big emphasis on dreams, because Joseph, he was a pretty special, one of the special sons of Yaakov. Jacob had 2 wives and 2 concubines from each. And he has 6 kids with his wife Leah. He has 2 from each of the concubines, and 2 from his wife Rachel, the one he loved first at the beginning, the one he kind of fell in love with. And those sons are very special to him. One is Yosef, and the other one is Binyamin. And we know that Rachel passed right as Benjamin was born. Right as Binyamin was born, the Rachel passed away right at that moment. And Yaakov had a special love for Yosef, even more than his other sons, because they were most alike, actually, because he represented the central column, Yaakov represented the central column of restriction, of balance, of equilibrium. And Yosef has dreams. He has 2 very interesting dreams, and he tells them to his father and to everyone. And he starts to say, so I'm actually having dreams that I am the sun and the moon, and you guys are all the stars, and you're gonna bow down to me. That's one dream. And he has another dream where he's the head sheaf of wheat, and everyone else is bowing down to him. And instead of, when you have a good dream, there's no reason to, until it manifests, you shouldn't run around and tell it to everyone. Dreams are very special. Dreams are messages, they're guiding us, they're giving us insights. So it's not something that you should run around, and maybe to your teacher you should say it, but you shouldn't run around and just tell your dreams to everyone around you. But that's what Yosef does. He starts to brag about it. He says, I am superior, I am better, you're all gonna bow down to me. Even to his dad, he says it, that you're gonna bow down to me, to his, everyone. And the brothers, his other, especially his other 10 brothers, not Benjamin, but the other 10 brothers, they start to have a little bit like, what's up with this guy? Like, why is he so self-obsessed? Why is he so, egocentrical? And they start to have a slight dislike towards him. They start to look at him as like the dad's favorite, he's bragging, he has these special dreams. They call him the dreamer. So they start to have a slight dislike towards him. And the story goes that there's also a very strong connection to angels with portion, because what happens is the 10 brothers are looking after Jacob's flocks, and they're taking them somewhere, the whole flocks, to feed. And Yosef is asking his father, where are my brothers? And he says, oh, go there in a certain place, there and there. And as he's going, he meets an angel. He meets Angel Gabriel and the Shekhinah. And he eventually goes to see his brothers. And the brothers are like, as far as we know, the whole complete partsuf, or a face or expression of light, comes in tens. So we are the 10. He's 11th, so he's actually completely unnecessary. He doesn't need to exist with us for us to manifest light. We should get rid of him. So one of his brothers says, yeah, you know what, let's just kill him. What's the point of keeping him alive? We can just kill him. 2 of the sons of Jacob represent very strong judgment. So they were able to literally conquer towns in no time. They're very strong people. Another brother says, what's the point of killing? Let's sell him. He can be a slave. We can sell him into slavery. The others say, wow, that's a great idea. Let's do that. And they do it. They actually sell one of their own brothers into slavery. And this is where another story begins, where really Joseph's story begins, where he starts to his journey of achieving his greatness, a 22-year journey. His brothers first capture him, and their first desire was to actually murder their brother, which is probably something that's very difficult to overcome in a family setup, right? And overcome in general. And they sell him into slavery. He becomes a slave in a very powerful man's house. His name is Potiphar. And his wife, she notices Joseph. No, Joseph was a very special human being. He was considered one of those beautiful people that ever lived on earth. It says that he almost possessed the beauty of Adam, if of Adam, the first man. And he was basically, mesmerizing to look at. People could not take their eyes off of him when they looked at him. And his new master's wife had a very special attraction towards him. She fell in love with him. She really wanted to be with him intimately. And it says that she would talk to him almost every single day and try to find ways to seduce him every single day. Not only that, there's a parable story in the Midrash that says that she invited all of her friends to her house, gave them oranges and knives to peel them. And then as they're peeling their oranges, she invited Joseph to come into the room. And from the shock of his beauty, it says everyone cut themselves, but they wouldn't even notice it because they were just so blown away by his beauty. And she told all of them, can you imagine that I have to live with this? And he was obviously more connected to a spiritual path, so he was not interested in being with her. But eventually, what she does is she accuses him of trying to rape her. And actually, what she does is she makes sure that she's alone in the house, and she tries again to seduce him. And he actually almost falls into the seduction. But what it says is that he sees an image of his father before him, and what awakens his consciousness, and what kind of brings him back to reality, and what kind of snaps him in reality. And he says at that moment he restricts. And this moment of restriction is considered one of the biggest moments of restriction in human history. This is an example of the biggest restrictions that people can do, that they're so close to obtaining something that they want, but they say no. They say, no, it's not the right time. I'm going to restrict. It's better to wait. What's interesting is actually in the big picture, she was partially his soulmate, but it wasn't the time for them to be together. And because he restricts, she gets very upset, and she accuses him of trying to rape her. And obviously her husband believes her, and he gets into jail. He's in Egypt now, he's in jail, and he starts to be living the next 10 years, next 12 years in jail. What's also very interesting is that no matter what Joseph did, wherever he was, it says that he had hands of gold, basically. Whatever he did, he made everything successful. When he was in the house of Potiphar as a slave, the owner would give him keys to everything in the house, from his safe to the house keys to everything. He was basically overlooking every single thing in the house. The owner completely trusted him. And whatever he did turned into gold, everything. And the same thing started to happen as he went into jail. The guards who were so blown away by him, they actually allowed him to basically run the jail. So he becomes like the jail master. He runs the whole thing. There's a beautiful story also of how his owner, Potiphar, would ask Joseph, for example, for a glass of wine. And Joseph would pour him wine. On the way, as he would bring him the glass, the owner would say, no, I actually want water. And Joseph's energy and consciousness was so strong that he was able to change the wine into water as he brought the cup to his master. And the Kabbalists teach that one of the ways of how he did it is he would appreciate and say thank you to the Creator for everything that the Creator gave him. He would not take credit for anything that he has done. For anything that he has achieved, he would say, thank you, Creator. I appreciate your help. Thank you for helping me do this. It was all you. Thank you so much. That's step one. And the other thought that he had, he would say, Creator, please help me make this action that I'm doing in the best way possible. So that was his mantra constantly. He was in a constant state of meditation where whatever he was doing, he was constantly appreciating the Creator for everything that has done, for he has done. He could have easily said that I have accomplished this, but he wouldn't say that. He would always say, thank you, Creator, for helping me do this. And also, whenever he did something, he would ask the Creator, please come in and help me do this the right way. Guide me, instruct me, make sure that I do this in the best way possible. So that's lesson number 2 already. That we can learn that whenever we're doing something, from the biggest to the smallest thing that you're doing in your life, continuously thank the Creator for whatever it is that you have and whatever it is that you have done. And also ask the Creator to come in and assist you in whatever it is that you're doing right now. Being in these two places at the same time. Thank you, Creator, for everything you have given me. And please assist me in this endeavor, in whatever I'm doing. So that's the story of Joseph. He eventually gets into, he's in jail, and we're going to continue later with Joseph. But another story goes side by side with this, the story of Judah, another son of Jacob. He's a very famous son, also he's very special as well. Him and Joseph represent two spiritual realms, actually. Joseph represents the upper worlds, the Zeir and Pin, and Judah represents the physical reality, the Malchut. So they both represent a very significant aspect in spirituality. And it says the story, it's a very interesting story about Judah and his sons, that he had 3 sons, and he marries one, the oldest one, to a woman. Her name is Tamar. And Tamar was also very beautiful, but the son wouldn't want to have kids with her to make her less beautiful and just didn't want to have kids. And he was acting sexually in a way that was not in a proactive way, was a little bit too inappropriate. And he wouldn't have kids. And actually, it says the Creator was so upset with him that the Creator kills him, literally, it says. Same thing with the second son. The second son also marries her, takes her, because it's if a man and a woman are married and they don't have kids, that it was actually something that's directly from the Torah, that the brother of the husband that passed away should marry the widow and have kids with her. It's something that is, we're not going to talk about it, but that's something that was very important to do back in the day. It's and he does it. The middle brother marries. His name was Onan, I think. They were Onan and Shelah, and he also doesn't want to have kids with her, and that's obviously not something that the Creator wanted. The Creator wanted them to have kids, to have a lineage, to have continuation. They don't do it, and it says that because of that, the Creator was so upset that he struck him also. And Judah at this point is like, I just lost 2 sons. I'm not gonna let her marry my 3rd son because something's wrong. He doesn't know what was going on. So he's like, you know what? Go back to your people, take a break, and we'll continue some other time. What he also does is, it's written directly in the Torah, actually in the Old Testament, just so you know. It says that he goes and he looks for a woman with an oldest profession in the world, and he spends a night with her. And he says, oh, I don't have money on me. Let me give you my ring, my special ring that I have, and take it as a form of payment. And when I'm back, come back with a ring, and I'll pay for your time, for your service. And that's it. And the story ends. And some time goes by, and news come to him that his daughter-in-law is pregnant. He hears the news. He says, burn her at the stake. She cheated. She shouldn't have done that. Burn her. literally sends an order directly to burn her. They find her, they take her to almost be burned, and she says, can you please take this ring to Yehuda and say um, the father of the baby is also the owner of this ring. He sees it, he's blown away, he realizes that, what he has done, and that she actually did all this in Ruach HaKodesh, meaning in divine inspiration, and she became pregnant, she had twins, and one of the twins becomes the great-great-great-great-great-grandfather of King David. The lineage of King David comes from the tribe of Judah and from Tamar. And basically, there's so much drama happening in this week's portion. There's so much, literally a telenovela, There's almost no presence of anything holy here. There's no rules. There's no presence of like, oh, the creator did this or something. There's none of that. Simply a long telenovela of nobody knows what's going on. This is a very unique portion. There's not so many events happening in any other portion in the Torah like this one. So the Kabbalist asks the question, what's the story? What's the meaning for it? What's the deeper meaning? There always has to be a deeper meaning, right? That's what we want to do in our life. Whenever we're going through something, we want to ask a question. Why is this really happening? How's it serving me? How is it helping me? How is this assisting me in my life? What's the deeper secret behind here? What's the deeper message? There's always a deeper message. Always, in every situation in our life, there is a deeper message. There's a deeper secret. There's a deeper meaning to it. And we get to the answer only when we ask a question. It doesn't just come to you. It's not just going to come to you delivered on a silver platter. You need to work for it. You need to invest energy. You need to inject energy. You need to show your desire, remove the bread of shame, and then you're going to get the answer. So everything in life is the same way. And the huge secret in this whole portion is the Kabbalists show us in the big picture of this, in the big picture of this whole story, is that the Creator is actually setting up a way to completely remove chaos from this world. That even though it looks like there's so much chaos going on, brothers trying to kill one of their brothers, selling him to slavery, Jacob going into a deep 17-year depression when he's totally depressed because he assumes, because what the brothers actually do is they take Joseph's clock, take it back to Yaakov and say, oh, Joseph was murdered by wild animals. Here, this is all we found. And Jacob falls into a depression, actually loses his Ruach HaKodesh, which is divine inspiration. And Judah doing just, trying to kill his daughter-in-law, sleeps with a prostitute, directly written in the scroll that he slept with a prostitute, etc. So on the outside, it looks like so much chaos is happening. So much chaos is happening in this week's portion. However, when you look within, you fully understand that it's all a plan of how the Creator is manifesting the energy of Mashiach, the energy of end of Tikkun in our world. So it's not something that it looks like it's a mess. It looks like it's so just what in the world is going on, but it's actually a way of how the Creator is going to remove chaos completely from our reality, erase death forever. So that's one big lesson and big gift that we receive this week, is the ability to look at the seed and look at the big picture of everything that happens in our life. When we're going through different challenges, when we're going through different situations that are not comfortable, that are difficult for us, that we don't know why it's happening, we are, we just don't understand. In this week's portion, no one understands what's going on. None of the characters understand what's going on. Not Jacob, not Joseph, not Judah, not their brothers. No one understands what is going on. Everyone is in chaos. Everyone's in confusion. Everyone is in a total, like they just got hit over their head. However, again, in the big picture, everything is leading up to a huge revelation of light. However, you don't always see it. You don't always see how things play out, right? We don't always see it. I'm sure there's moments in your life when you thought, wow, that looks so bad. That looks like such a bad situation. That looks like so not pleasant, uncomfortable. Wow, why am I going through this? I wish this would end, etc. And then all of a sudden, you understand how it all came together. So this week's energy is very, very, very strong energy of light. Such a strong energy of light that gives us this boost and this kind of understanding that, wow, everything is happening for the good. You get a glimpse of the big picture. You understand that everything is actually happening for the big picture. And everything is happening in order to help us get to the best place we could possibly be. Now, the continuing theme of month of Sag is having an open heart, right? Open heart, as we say, is for Sagittarius is one of their main goals. They don't necessarily, they're very fun, they're very exciting, they're generous, they're very wise, they're just great people to be around, they have great energy. However, one of their main tikkuns for them and for us in this month is to open their hearts, is to open their hearts in a way that they've never even had before. Not to experience any moment of life as a, wow, why did that happen? Why was that's like a punishment? There's no such thing as punishment. There's no such things. There's only opportunity. Only opportunity in this world. There's no such thing as punishment. So that's one major gift that we receive this week, is not to be caught up in the details, not to be caught up in the small picture, to expand our mind, to see that what's happening is actually for the best. What's happening is for the greater good for us, for really greater good, so much greater good for us. So that's a beautiful lesson. And we'll do a meditation later where we're gonna, let's do it now. Let's do a quick meditation in between class. You can close your eyes, relax, take a deep breath. And if you want the download to be able to understand, to feel, to know that everything in my life is happening for the best. Everything is going towards my way. If you want to say yes. If you want the ability to easily let go of situations that are not serving you, relationship situations that don't serve you, to let it go with ease and joy and glory. If you want that, say yes. Okay, so that's a portion of the week, and I'm sure if you read it and you should listen more classes and study it more, and you see so many more beautiful lessons. And I want to devote the other part of the class today to an event that's happening this week called Chanukah, and it's an 8-day opening in the universe, in our world, where we access what the Rav says, the energy of miracles. Miracles, happiness, joys, breakthroughs, overcoming addictions, overcoming any negativity, complete change in our reality. So I'm not going to mention the history part. It's a very long and interesting story. Also, if you want, please read on it. It's, in short, it's a battle of the Greek Empire trying to overtake the Israelites and trying to also change basically back in that day, everyone was a Kabbalist. The whole land of anyone that would be called an Israelite, there were no Jews back then, by the way. Jews is a term that came much later, approximately 1,000 years later. They were all Israelites living in the land of Israel, and they were taken over by the Greek Empire. But the Greeks also were trying to change their beliefs from thinking of believing that there's one good creator, believing in good, believing in the spiritual study, believing in the Torah, and taking that away from them and saying, no, you should practice paganism, you should bow down to idols. By the way, idol worship, what's very interesting is back in the day, spiritually, if you would bow down to a statue, it would actually give you almost a high, like a drug high. So people would not just do it because they were stupid and because they were, oh, just go offer some, some grapes to this god, and I'm gonna have, grapes later. No, they actually did it because they experienced an ecstatic process, which is very interesting. And Kabbalists actually did a special meditation. I'm not sure when, but it was a special meditation and prayer that Kabbalists did to cancel this completely, for people to stop doing this action. But it was not a silly offering of something, sacrifices to statues. They actually gave them energy, just so we know. It wasn't just simply something silly as it seems. So the Greeks were also trying to force the Israelites to do that as well. And a group of actually priests that were serving in the Holy Temple, they came to a point where they said, if this is how it's going to be, there's no point of really living. I rather sacrifice my life, I rather give up my life, but fight for what I believe is right, for the way I believe it's better to live, than to just do whatever I'm told to do by these colonists, basically. And they started to do that. They basically started a revolt, like a guerrilla revolt against the Greeks. And to make a long story short again, they fight for a few years and they become, they basically defeat them and overcome them. And it's a story of very few against many. Basically, there weren't a lot of these priests. I don't remember numbers, but it wasn't even close to how many Greeks were there. But they actually overcame them, and that was a huge miracle. And their self-sacrifice towards what they believed is what caused this miracle to happen, this huge victory to happen. And the temple at that moment stood. It wasn't destroyed, which is very interesting also. It's one of those takeovers where the temple wasn't destroyed. However, it was completely misused. It was not used in the right way. It was used for idol worship, not to connect to the creator, etc. And basically, idol worship is also it's the belief that there isn't one creator and not that everything is for the good. And that's what idol worship is. So anytime you get upset, anytime you get frustrated, anytime you say, oh, why is this happening? What is this? It's actually a sign that you are falling into idol worship. And being Kabbalist is understanding that, it's happening for a good reason. There must be a good reason why this is happening. So that's in big picture, that's what the Greeks and Israelites represented. So they overcome, and it's actually happened exactly on the 25th day of the month of Sagittarius, the month of Kislev. And they go into the temple, and there was one of the connections to reveal light in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem was to light the menorah. It had 7 wicks, and it would never go off. And it was one of the things that the priests had to do on a daily basis. They would have to light the menorah, and it would shine, it says it would shine the light of wisdom to the entire world. There were different things that happened in the temple. One of them was lighting of the menorah. And they found the menorah. However, the oil that you need to burn on the menorah takes 8 days to prepare. And there were no oils left, except one flask. The one flask that Jacob, in last week's portion, went over the river to get it because they left it behind. that stayed for thousands of years in the Holy Temple as one flask that was blessed by the high priest in order to use in the menorah. And they pour the oil into the menorah, and this oil magically doesn't just last for a day, that's the amount that was there. It lasts for 8 days. That's a miracle. Now, there's many secrets. One of the secrets is, why don't we celebrate the victory? Why are we celebrating Chanukah, the lighting? Why don't we put, swords and fighting gear and, remember the Hashmonaim, the group of people that went against the Greeks? Why are we remembering the oil? There's many different secrets and reasons for that. So one of them is the oil actually represents the importance of light of wisdom, the importance of spiritual study, the importance of spirituality, the importance that I rather connect to the light than about it. That's the most important. That's what's important for me, is to connect to the light. And also, what Rav Reinwein says is that the light of the Chanukah represents energy of miracles. That whenever I'm ready to give up of my old self, whenever I'm ready to give up of my old beliefs and connect to something new, that's when miracles are truly happening. That's the real true miracle. As the definition of Rav Reinwein, the miracle is going outside of your comfort zone, going outside of your nature. I'm going to take a quick break. If anyone has any questions, please ask. Okay, if anyone has any questions, please feel free. So the way to connect to this energy is also very simple. All you need to do is you just light the Chanukah. It's very simple. There's really nothing else that you need to do. The light that also, it's beautiful that the light that you receive from the Chanukah, it's called Ora Ganuz. It's called the concealed light. It's the light that connects you to your potential, to your ultimate self, to the self that already exists, that doesn't have any limits. It doesn't have anything that it flows. It's in complete unity and oneness with the light. There's absolutely no negativity that it experiences. Complete flow of energy, complete. We should always leave the Chanukah in a lit room. Actually, it should not be, you shouldn't use it as a source of light. It's actually a source of only spiritual light. The word Chanukah also, it means to educate ourselves, to educate our consciousness. And you want to, it's not logical, but just by looking at those candles, you want to educate yourself. You want to put the emphasis that my emphasis is on spiritual study, is on spiritual growth and spiritual development. My emphasis is not on the superficial, on the 1%. Also, not to be too philosophical and logical. The Greeks, they were great philosophers. They were great masters of logic. However, logic and philosophy, as we learn in this month, this is a full circle that we're going to close right now. In the month of Sagittarius is the philosopher of the zodiac. So having so much information is not necessarily good. It's not necessarily what we want to achieve. We want to extend ourselves, that we open our hearts. That as you look at the light of the Chanukah, you open your heart and you ask the Creator for more help. You ask the Creator to help in whatever it is that you need. You ask the Creator to help you in that area. But really from an open place, really understanding that the Creator has a solution for you, has a solution for me, has a solution for everything. That it's not a punishment. Open your heart and say, Creator, I'm open. Fill me with your light, fill me with your wisdom, fill me with your love, fill me with your compassion. And I want to be in a different place. I want to be in a different space. I don't want to be this what's called in Hebrew, it's a very good word, chachmalot, like someone who thinks too much. Someone who is constantly analyzing and thinking, I want to open my heart to the Creator, to the process, to the light. And by looking at the Chanukah, this is what you want to do. You want to completely open your heart. You want to fully understand that the Creator never left. The Creator was never absent. The Creator is always with us, was, is, and will be with us no matter what, no matter how dark it might seem. That's why you light the Chanukah at night, because you want to light up the energy of darkness. You want to remove the energy of darkness and instead inject the energy of light. There's going to be a live stream of every single day to light the Chanukahs. I hope you have your Chanukah. I hope you're ready. I hope you have a schedule. It's on our website. It has a schedule, when to light it. It's amazing that we all light at home together at the same time. We can do that now. It's very special, I think. It's a time of, next week, we're also experiencing the Great Conjunction. In 2 weeks, actually, I'm sorry. In 2 weeks, we're having the Great Conjunction after the Chanukah is over. And we want to, as we're lighting the Chanukah, we also want to meditate on the whole world. We want to meditate on the world, that the world will be, all negativity will be blasted away from the world. That's one of the meditations that one of the Kabbalists, Pinchas of Korwitz, told his students, that when you're lighting the Chanukah, you should open your front door a little bit, even a tiny bit, that when you light the candles, this light, like a laser beam, destroys all negativity in the world. I'll see you next week in the holiday. Thank you for joining, and have an amazing week.